I'm Ed Kelley, editor of the Oklahoman. I recently sat down with Mike Turpen, the former Attorney General and political commentator. Here are excerpts from that interview. Mike, let's talk presidential politics. You, of course, were the finance chairman for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in Oklahoma.
Right.
She won the state in overwhelming fashion back in our primary on February 5th. You've known the Clintons for an awful long time. Mm-hmm. What is it about Hillary that maybe some of us don't understand? Why do you think that she would have made a really good president?
I still think she might, but we'll see how the whole thing plays out. Or she might make a great vice president. We'll see how that plays out as well. I know her, I like her, I respect her. I always like to say, think back in history and look at Golda Meir, look at Margaret Thatcher. I think she's that kind of bold. I think she's that kind of woman. I think she's that kind of leader. And I believe everything we were saying during this whole campaign that's lasted a long, long time.
Right.
And that is, she was ready day one to be commander-in-chief. I believe that. I still believe that. We'll see how it plays out. I believe very strongly if Barack Obama is our nominee, which he may well be, that he ought to put her on the ticket. I always said if she was the nominee, I told her personally, she ought to put Barack on the ticket.
Right.
I mean, it may have to be a shotgun wedding at this point in time, man, where you just force them to get together,
Sure.
and we'll see how it plays out. But I like her, and I believe in her, and I got to tell you, it's better to know a president than to know of one. She, you know,
Sure.
I like to say she and her husband have that quality that I like in people. They know me.
Right.
They know Mike Turpen. And so once I became friends with him, I fought for him through thick and thin, and I've done the same thing for her.
Right. Maybe the longest running act in Oklahoma political history ended here not long ago when your running buddy on the Flashpoint program, Burns August, went off to run Oklahoma State.
Right.
Were you surprised by any of the outpouring of support that you got at the end when the relationship finally came to a halt?
Yes. I think he was, and I was too.
Sure.
We'd become a married couple, an old married couple. We could finish each other's sentences.
Sure.
We'd traveled all over the state together. He ran for governor and lost. I ran for governor and lost. And one of our one-liners was, all you got to do to get a TV show in Oklahoma, Flashpoint, is run for governor and lose. And we did. And our other one-liner was, our races for governor were so bad that we put the word goober in gubernatorial. He used that line. I used that line.
Right.
We'd both, whoever used it first. At Broken Bow, Broken Arrow, Alva, Altas. I mean, we went to all four corners of the state with a traveling road show. It was our gig, and it kept us from ever running for office again. I always thought Burns would run for governor again. I always thought I might have another race for governor and me. We just never got around to it. And through the whole thing, we became very good friends. And he'd do anything for my family, and I'd do anything for his family. And he has, and I have, and that's just the way it is.
And you never anticipated this happening when it started out in the early 1990s.
Oh, man. There was just no way. I mean, it was, the idea was just election night coverage only. And then Marianne Eckstein, you know, and others over there thought, no, let's make a regular show out of it. You know, you guys got a pretty good chemistry, a pretty good synergy. And we called it infotainment. We thought if you could bring enough information to the folks, but at the same time entertain them a little bit, but agree to disagree. And I mean, not really ever get mad at each other.
Right.
Fun deal. Kept him from running for office again, I guarantee it. Kept me from running for office and kept us off the street, so to speak, politically. And we just kept doing that. And we enjoyed doing it and agree to disagree and have a great show and then do another road show. And the next thing you know, he's being talked about as president of OSU.
Right.
And the most personal thing I can tell you about everything Burns and I ever did together, I'd have friends down there and say, Mike, you're a successful attorney. Burns is a attorney turned prominent banker. I mean, why would you mess around with a Sunday morning talk show where you just talk about politics and maybe even offend somebody?
Sure.
I mean, why would you do that, you know? And now I like to say it didn't hurt Burns Argus at all.
No.
And I've seen the editorials in your paper, the Tulsa World and others, when Burns got the job. You know, they always talked about that he's been all over the state. You know, with his friend Mike Turpen, his buddy Mike Turpen, with his political roadshow we're talking about here. Didn't hurt at all.
No.
But the truth is he got the job because everybody likes Burns Harkis, and everybody knows Burns Harkis. And especially Brad Henry and Boone Pickens. I mean, Brad Henry has always been very supportive of Burns, likes him a lot, respects him a lot. And we know that Boone Pickens has a high opinion of Burns Harkis as well. So I always said the three Bs lined up, Brad, Boone, and Burns. Brad liked him a lot, Boone respects him a lot, and Burns decided to do the job after he talked to Ann. I think him and Ann said, let's go do this. He loves the university, and they're already doing, as you know, a fantastic job.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk locally a bit. You and Mark Funke with Bank of Oklahoma recently were honored for going out and raising well more than $10 million to renovate, overhaul the Lyric and the entire Plaza District. Mike, obviously you're a fan of the Lyric. What else excites you about Oklahoma City these days?
Well, the Lyric was the first time, Ed, I'd done any significant fundraising outside of politics.
Okay.
I mean, I've helped at Westminster Presbyterian Church, but I've never been on the front lines there like my wife has, for example, where you're expected to raise $2 million for the stewardship campaign.
Sure.
So Susan's done that. I've done some work at Westminster. I've been on the board there and the Board of Trustees, and now I'm on the foundation board there at Westminster Presbyterian Church. I'm saying I've done some fundraising there. But essentially my fundraising has been for political candidates. I mean, you mentioned Hillary Clinton a while ago. Right. I'm very proud to say that Oklahoma was #1 in the whole nation in fundraising for Hillary per capita. Raised almost $1 million for her here and carried the state on Super Tuesday. And I always remind everybody, we did our part in Oklahoma. Some of the superdelegates got away from us, but that's a whole other issue. Yeah. So then all of a sudden I turned my fundraising talents, some people say, I've surprised myself, to be candid with you, towards Lyric in a $10 million campaign. Funky was the president, Mark Funky, of the Lyric board. I was the chairman of the Capitol campaign and had a great campaign committee, but I learned a lot. You just got to go ask people for money. If you believe in something in this community, in this great city of Oklahoma City, in this great state of Oklahoma, here's my phrase, it's yours for the asking. It's yours for the asking. Okay. If you want to make something happen in this state, particularly Oklahoma City, it's yours for the asking. And as far as the Lyric Theater and saving that 1935 theater, the Plaza Theater, I used to say this is a project that stirs the soul. Stirs the soul. And we have the old Humpty Dumpty store transformed into the Thelma Gaylord Academy at Lyric Theater, a project that stirs the soul. That's what I said to Louise and Christy. And in any event, they were very generous, and that's why we have the Thelma Gaylord Academy at Lyric Theater, where we have about 300 kids learning how to sing and dance and act. And Ed, I don't know how much time you have in this segment, but I love to say this. It's fun to teach young people how to break the silence of a room with the sound of their voice at the Thelma Gaylord Academy. That's what we do every day. And then they get to perform on the stage at the old 1935 theater, the Plaza Theater that you went to in your life. And it was falling into disrepair. We saved it, and now it's a modern-day performing arts venue. Been so exciting to see all that happen. Now, the irony of the whole thing, because we started off with politics with the first question, so I'm going to bring it all back to politics. The irony is I've always raised money for Democratic politicians, mostly. Right. I've contributed to the mayor's campaign, as a matter of fact, and Kirk Humphrey's campaign when he ran for mayor. But what I found out was all the Republican friends I have in this community now that are people of wealth, a lot of them that I went to for this Lyric Theater project, the $10 million. Right. My buddy Burns Hargis used to razz me. He said, now those are the people you used to say, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer and yada, yada, yada. A little class warfare he was suggesting I might do on Flashpoint. Well, I did find out, not to my surprise, but very pleasantly, that those are very generous people that I went to help us get to the $1 million goal of transforming the whole Plaza District and Lyric Theater. And I'm very pleased to know that there's that kind of generosity in this great city. So you asked me, what about Oklahoma City? I think we just ride the horse in the direction it's going. I mean, we've had great leadership and so many great things happening. And I'm looking forward to the Sonics coming here. What we're going to name, I don't know. But I thought it was like an old-fashioned barn racing going to all those Hornet games. And look what we did for the Hornets. We made champions out of them, it looks like. We'll do the same thing for the Sonics. But I just think we keep doing what we're doing in Oklahoma City and put a Ferris wheel down there on the Oklahoma River with Kirk Humphreys and his son's help. Right. It's all good.
It's all good. Thanks,
really.
Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Time's up.
Hope you want to come back.
Yeah. Look forward to it. Thanks, Ed.